Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for tuning in to literally episode one that we're going to do of a new series I'm going to call the Executive Cyber Brief, where this is going to be a couple of the stories that I've seen throughout the week that has not got a lot of news and or attention in the public sector. And, as you're wrapping up your week, these are definitely potential items that you want to have on your radar, considering for your weekend. Um, just as a side note, this is not a series that is going to be um, dove into like a very technical thing. This is definitely a 30,000 foot view. This is definitely targeted for the business owner, C-suite, executive team of a organization to be asking questions, starting next week or even at the end of the day to say, are we potentially impacted? How is this affecting us, or will this potentially affect us? This is again some of the top stories that I've seen come across the feeds this week. These are typically going to be shows that are under 30 minutes, so hopefully very easy to digest. Um, as you've seen with other podcasts that we've been able to co-host, I am taking that type of mentality where there is a typical narrator that will read, a brief interview of the topic, and I will kind of dive into the topic at hand and give you my technical breakdown of it and how it could potentially impact you and your organization. And with that, let's say we just get started. Those who are joining, I do greatly appreciate it. And with that, we'll start off with our first story.
On May 30, 2023, the University of Waterloo experienced a ransomware attack targeting their on-campus Microsoft Exchange email service. In response, the university mandated a mass password reset for all staff, faculty, and students. Handling password resets for 42,000 individuals is a significant challenge for any IT team. This incident underscores the importance for organizations to be prepared for such cyber threats. Proactive measures, such as enabling users to reset their own passwords and having robust security protocols, can help mitigate the impact of ransomware attacks.
So this one really came on my radar because this is more of an educational piece for you, ladies and gentlemen. This needs to be part of your disaster recovery incident response, right? So when you're thinking of, if you got hit with something, it doesn't have to be a ransomware attack, but let's just say you've got data dump and data exfil, anything of that nature. If you had to go through and cycle throughout your entire organization, a massive password reset, how would you do this? This is things that need to be gamified, if you will, and thought about this, and kind of figure out, how this thing will, impact you. A lot of smaller organizations, this isn't that big of a deal. It's a 20, 30 user organization, and it's again not that big of a deal. But when you start brokering up, to 200, 300, even up to five and even larger, how are you going to do that? Right. One thing is, for if you're in the Microsoft 365 tendencies and connected to, your local AD, again, not trying to get too technical, but there is a thing called password write back. There are things where you can do self-service password resets, things of that nature that could help eliminate the IT burden to trying to overcome that type of situation. So, how do you in your organization overcome if you have to do a master password reset for everybody inside of your organization, right? So, think about that. Think about how you would do it. Have you ever gamified it? Have you ever said, okay, um, let's just spin up a spare tenant, if you will, and let's see what would it take? What is the downtime? What is the load on the internal IT that would actually be suffering from this? And see how that works out, right? So anything you do in disaster recovery, you want to see what is the time it takes to go through said action, right? Whether it's backups or, restoring a VM, whatever the case is. This is definitely one of those type of situations. So we'll carry on to the next story. And I did see the comment in the chat. It is a little too loud, so I did turn it down. Let me know if this works a little bit better.
In recent cybersecurity news, small and mid-sized businesses are urged to scrutinize their IT service partners' security measures. High-profile cyber attacks on MSP vendors like Kaseya and SolarWinds have highlighted the risks of relying on a complex chain of vendors. Despite increased attention, supply chain attacks surged by over 40% last year, becoming the top threat vector. Businesses are advised to ensure their IT service partners have a documented framework for internal security, proactive management of insider threats, and robust network monitoring. Stay vigilant, business owners, your security is only as strong as your weakest link.
This is absolutely true, ladies and gentlemen. So, one thing you got to consider in the past, shoot, this year alone, we've seen 6 or 7 cases that was definitely small business that came across our desk that was impacted by an MSP. So the MSP was actually impacted and actually impacted hundreds of their organizations that they take care of. So those who don't know it, the MSP managed solution provider is essentially your outsourced IT firm. So you hire these folks to take care of your day-to-day operations. It's been in the news a lot over the years, and the reason I bring this up is it's an increasing threat on organizations. It's constantly evolving, it's constantly they're getting hammered, and really need to sit down with your IT technologist, your MSP, whatever in the world you want to call them or they call themselves, and find out what framework are they complying to. Are they doing NIST 800-171, aka CMMC? 853. Are they doing CIS version 8? What framework, and can they supply you with documentation that they are complying with it, right? We get asked by our clients all the time, what framework are you doing? Right now, we've completed CIS version 8. We're going to be going through 800 here in the next couple of months. But when our clients and prospects want to know, you know, can you supply us documentation? Absolutely. Of course, we black out any sensitive information that may be, intellectual property or may lead to any sort of operational security because we just don't want those type of documents to accidentally get leaked out into the general public. So there are some things that we do to obfuscate it. So don't let your technologist MSP be like, oh, well, it's got intellectual property. Well, black it out. You can easily do these things in Adobe. So, to have these conversations. And if they don't do it, please get with a firm that does do or adheres to, a framework, and ask them, what if, you know, Billy Bob down the road pulls up and loads all your servers into the back of a U-Haul, and they're going to hold you ransom, so to speak, mob style. What do you do? Uh, One simple thing that we've always seen a lot of. Here's another one. When they let go of an internal IT person, what are their policies to disable and reset? Are those A lot of MSPs share a common password. So they'll have like MSP dash Dallas or Dallas MSP or whatever it is, right? For that specific firm. And all the people in that organization will use that same user and password, which okay, yeah, I get you don't want to create a bunch of users if your organization has, 13, 15 to people, whatever the case is, uh, and want to make it easy. But let's just say a person gets let go, a person quits, whatever the case is. What is the policy to reset those passwords, right? And your outsourced vendor should be able to provide that documentation. Oh, yes, Mr. Customer, policy, blah, blah, blah states we do this. Here's a copy of this PDF for your review and consideration. These things it's not hard. It's not hard. And as as my buddy and co-worker here, Casually Joseph says, it's always the shared password. And he's absolutely right. He's seen it. He's seen me complain about it so many times. So definitely take that to heart. Definitely look at what is going on in your organization, and solve it. These are simple conversations. I know it takes away from the day-to-day operations, of making money and trying to advance, but you don't want the lowest common vector being your outsourced IT vendor. So hopefully that's some food for thought.
In a significant security concern, a key used by Microsoft's Azure cloud platform was compromised, potentially allowing unauthorized access to numerous services and data. The issue, known as Storm 0558, was discovered by cybersecurity firm Wiz. The compromised key could authenticate as any business application, posing a serious risk of data breaches. Microsoft has revoked the key, but the incident underscores the importance of robust cloud security for businesses.
All right, ladies. So this is definitely an article that can get very technical, and like I said, I'm not going to make it do that. The one things you want to realize, it was originally thought that just Exchange Online, which is also OWA, Outlook web app, or the new version PWA, Persistence web app that runs inside of your browser, that and Outlook.com, which is the free version of Exchange that you could be able to have, that's been around forever. Live.com got migrated to Outlook.com, and I think Hotmail did as well. I could be wrong about that, but it was essentially thought that the keys to the kingdom, if you will, were leaked that just only impacted that. But it's come out recently that it's not just those services. It was actually discovered that the let's see, such as SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, customer applications that support the login with Microsoft. So you've seen it on websites. You're signing up for a new site, and you can either sign in with Google, you can sign with Microsoft, and that's kind of what it's talking about. It's an authentication method that's being used to authenticate against Microsoft, so you can use it. It's kind of like a federated system, if you will. Not kind of is, kind of isn't. It's a lot more complicated than that. But anyway, as the story goes through, there's more and more services that was actually impacted by this data leak, or this key leak that was actually put out. And you really need to be able to sit down with the folks who manage your organization, your Microsoft 365 tenancy, to find out, was these things actually compromised? Are you part of it? Microsoft has not put out a real easy way to actually do that. It's not like a simple script that you can go through. They kind of do a deep dive, and this is definitely more for your technical team inside your organization, to find out, was your situation impacted? As you can see here in the graphic, like we said, Office, Outlook, SharePoint, Teams, the customer apps. Like I said, a lot of Feelies and all these other applications that actually integrate into it. It actually impacts you. So I'll actually dump it out. There's an actual white paper here for the IOCs. I'm going to dump it here into my restream here, and hopefully that gets pushed over to LinkedIn. I don't know if it will, but after the show, I will update the feed and put the links there. But definitely have your internal technical team go through and look to see. It actually goes through, like I said, complete IOCs. It talks about, they were able to download emails, download your attachments, locate and see your team's conversations, gather folder information that's stored in OneDrive, in SharePoint. It was a very, very nasty thing. And they have complete IOCs with IP addresses, who the description is. You could see these things were first being seen as far back as March. So this has been going around for a while. And it's just taken, unfortunately, Microsoft some time to catch this thing, unfortunately. So a lot of stuff to dig into. Definitely have your, I can't beat it enough, have your technologist, your MSP, your cybersecurity firm go through and dig into that and see if you are potentially compromised with that. With that, I hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, I do want these to be very short, very brief. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this. Is there anything different that you would like to see done in these little short things? Please like and share this thing with other business owners and executive teams that you may think be a bit benefit from this. And with that, I hope y'all have a great weekend. Take care.
There once was a kid whose passwords laid across all sites, they were the same. A criminal then found their fame by taking that data to go. Soon may a criminal come to steal your pictures and data and run. One day when the crime is done, they'll steal your account and go.